The heat from the coffee sleeve seeped into my fingers slower than usual. I kept gripping the cup anyway, pretending like that would keep my hand from shaking. From across the kitchen, Drew's voice echoed down the hallway, cheerful and oblivious, like he didn't just take a match to something I never wanted to burn. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. The walls in my apartment were thin, and the truth he let slip wasn't even his to tell. It was a Thursday morning, 7:58 to be exact. I know that because the old wall clock, this dumb retro one my ex left behind, clicked its big hand over with a little thunk right as I walked past Drew's half-open door. I paused, not to listen, but because I heard my name in the kind of tone people save for punchlines or warnings. Yeah, Jake never told you that? Back in college, he laughed, then dropped it like it was nothing. Like I'd never trusted him with it. Like I hadn't sworn him to silence on the worst damn thing I'd ever done. You wouldn't peg Drew as the kind of guy to break a confidence. On paper, he checks every box. Funny, reliable, good with names. He's the guy who remembers your birthday and buys you the dumb card you actually laugh at. The guy who volunteers to help you move and actually shows up. We met freshman year. Random dorm assignment. I had one pair of sheets and a hand-me-down microwave. He had a gaming setup and no boundaries. First night he walked in, dropped his bag, and said, "Hope you're cool with snoring and existential dread." We clicked in a weird way. Not the deep soul bond kind of thing. Just rhythm. Same sleep schedule. Same twisted sense of humor. Over the years it turned into trust. So yeah, when I told him that story, the one nobody else knows, it was during one of those midnight kitchen chats that feel outside of time. The kind of thing you say after your third beer, thinking it'll dissolve in the air by morning. But it didn't. And now it was out. I stood there, just outside his room, holding my breath like that would freeze time. I heard her laugh. His girlfriend, Amanda. She had this bright, musical laugh that made people lean in. Except this time, it wasn't charming. It was sharp. Curious. "Wait, what? Are you serious?" she said, like she'd just stumbled onto a juicy twist in a drama she hadn't finished watching. "Yeah," Drew chuckled. "But don't bring it up, okay? He's weird about it." Weird about it. He said it like I was sensitive, like it was some awkward memory I couldn't laugh off. Not something that shaped how I look in the mirror every day. I didn't wait to hear the rest. I backed away, careful not to let the floor creak, and slipped back into the kitchen. My coffee was already cold. The thing about betrayal is that it never lands like a punch. Not at first. It's more like someone tugging at a loose thread you forgot you had. You don't notice the unraveling until part of you's exposed. I didn't say anything right away. Not to Drew, not to Amanda, not even to myself. I cleaned the counter, took out the trash, replied to 2 work emails like everything was normal. But the whole time, it buzzed in the back of my skull. He told her. He told her. That secret wasn't something I was ashamed of. Not exactly, but it was mine. And if it was going to come out, it had to be from me. Instead, it was framed in Drew's voice, filtered through his tone, cut into a story, trimmed of its gravity, handed over like gossip. I spent the rest of the day floating through work, emails, Zoom calls, a team huddle I barely registered. My brain played 2 tracks, what he said and what I was going to do about it. There's this version of me that lives in my head, confident, articulate, in control. That version would have confronted him at breakfast, laid it all out. No yelling, just precision. Made him squirm in his own words. But that version didn't show up. The real me? I stewed. I replayed it. I imagined every possible confrontation, each with its own cinematic angle. None of them felt real. So I did what I always do when I'm spiraling. I texted my sister. Me. Got a minute? Emily. Always. You okay? Me. Depends how you define okay. Can I call? She picked up on the first ring. Her voice was sleep-heavy, even though it was early evening. Dude, she said, yawning. What happened? I told her. Not the whole story, just the part about Drew spilling what he shouldn't have. She didn't say anything for a moment, just breathed. Then, you gonna punch him or ice him out? That's Emily. No middle ground, no judgment either, just options. I don't know, I said. I feel like either would be too much or not enough. Then do the third thing, she said. What's that? Let him dig his own grave. Let him explain it to her. Make him explain it, but with you watching. The thing is, Emily always sees the shape of things before I do. She knows how people twist when the mirror's held up. So that night, when I got home and found Drew and Amanda watching TV on the couch, I didn't say a word. I sat down, poured a drink, waited. Drew glanced at me once, half smile, unreadable. Amanda beamed, completely unaware of the fault line running under her chair. I waited until she got up to grab a snack. Then I turned to Drew and said, So, anything you want to tell me? He blinked. What? I held the look, didn't blink. Amanda returned with a bowl of popcorn. I kept my eyes on him. He shifted. Jake, what's up? I took a sip of my drink, let the pause hang, then, why don't you tell Amanda what you told her this morning? Her head tilted. Told me what? And there it was. Drew froze. I didn't say another word. I wasn't going to explain it for him. He could twist in it, feel the heat of it, face what it means to break trust, and realize the story he told wasn't his to spin. Amanda's gaze flicked between us like she was watching a rally she didn't realize she was part of. Her hand hovered over the popcorn bowl, frozen in mid-reach. Drew blinked once, then again. His face moved through several half-started expressions, confusion, denial, maybe even guilt, but none of them stuck long enough to speak. What's he talking about? Amanda asked slowly. The room was quiet except for the soft buzz of the fridge. It was the kind of silence that doesn't happen unless something serious is about to shift. I didn't speak. It wasn't my job to. Drew finally exhaled through his nose, a sound too sharp to be casual, too tight to be anything but defensive. Come on, man, he said, half laughing, half hoping I'd let him off the hook. I'm not joking, I said, calm, low. Go ahead, tell her. Amanda lowered the popcorn bowl. Tell me what? She looked at Drew, and that's when he broke eye contact with me. That small pivot told me everything I needed to know. He wasn't proud of what he'd done. He ran a hand through his hair. Babe, it's not a big deal, all right? I was just telling her about the thing I told you in confidence, I said flatly. His jaw clenched. Yeah, but you made it sound like it wasn't that serious. I tilted my head. Then why'd you tell her not to bring it up? Amanda's eyes widened slightly. That detail landed harder than I expected. She turned fully to him now, her voice soft but edged. Wait, you told me something Jake asked you not to share? Drew started to say something, then stopped. There was no good spin here, and I was done giving him room to find one. Let me back up and explain what the secret was, because maybe you're imagining something sensational. But it wasn't. Not really. Not if you just heard the bare bones of it. When I was 19, I was the designated driver at a party. Some of our mutual friends got plastered. One of them, a girl named Becca, was way too gone, and her boyfriend at the time was getting handsy in a way that felt wrong. Everyone was laughing, drunk, distracted. I saw it. I stopped it, loudly. It turned into a scene. Cops were called. No one got arrested, but it fractured our whole group. A few people took the guy's side. He twisted it into some story about how I was jealous, how I blew it out of proportion. It didn't matter that I was right. I became that guy for a while. The buzzkill. The drama magnet. I lost friends over it. Spent a year buried in shame and self-doubt. Becca eventually texted me a thank you years later, but back then the damage was already done. I'd only told Drew the full version once. I didn't frame myself as a hero. I just needed to get it off my chest. He said he understood, said I did the right thing. Then, years later, he turned it into a party anecdote. Amanda was staring at him now like she didn't recognize his face. You told me he got into a fight over some girl, that he exaggerated something and stirred up drama. Drew looked panicked. No, I didn't say it like that. Look, I was trying to explain that Jake sometimes gets intense about certain things. Intense? I said. My voice didn't rise, but the air between us tightened. You mean like when someone crosses a line? He finally turned to me, his eyes defensive. Jake, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus. It just came up, and I was trying to make conversation. No, you were trying to make yourself look good, I said, like the cool friend with the juicy stories. Amanda's expression shifted into something I hadn't seen before. Disappointment, and maybe even a little fear. Drew, she said quietly, why would you tell me that without context? That's serious, and Jake trusted you. He opened his mouth, then closed it. For once, he didn't have a spin. Good. After a long moment, I stood up. My drink was empty, but my hand still gripped the glass like it anchored me. I'm going to bed, I said. Amanda looked like she wanted to say something, but instead she nodded slowly. Drew stayed seated, staring at his hands. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was furious, because I felt hollow. The next morning, Drew was in the kitchen when I came out. He'd made coffee, probably some leftover reflex from the early days of our roommate routine. 2 mugs on the counter, like always. Jake, he started. I raised a hand. Save it. No, man, I said save it. He looked like I slapped him, but I didn't care. You don't get to apologize because you got caught, I said. You get to sit in it, let it soak. He was quiet. I grabbed my coffee and walked past him. At the door, he said, I didn't think it would hurt you. I turned. You didn't think about me at all. That's the problem. That weekend, Amanda texted me. Amanda, hey, just wanted to say, I'm sorry you got put in that situation. That shouldn't have happened. I appreciated it, but I didn't reply right away. I didn't know how to explain what it felt like to be reduced to someone else's side character in your own story. I kept thinking about what Emily said, about letting him dig his own grave. But I wasn't sure that was enough anymore, because trust isn't just about what people do when you're looking. It's what they don't do when you're not. And Drew had failed that test. Monday morning, I told Drew he had 2 weeks to find a new place. He blinked. Are you serious? Dead serious. We've been roommates for years. Yeah, I said, and now you're not someone I can live with. He looked like he might argue, but something in my face must have stopped him. I didn't yell, didn't throw anything, just stood there, calm and certain. That probably scared him more. Drew moved out on a rainy Wednesday. Fitting, I guess. Cliché even. Cardboard boxes soaked at the edges, boot prints smeared on the tile. The apartment smelled like wet hoodie and old takeout. His girlfriend Amanda helped carry a few loads, but we didn't speak. Not even a nod. He didn't say goodbye. I didn't ask for one. The door shut behind him, for the last time, at 3:42 p.m. I know that because I checked the clock as the silence settled. The kind of silence that doesn't ask to be broken. It's strange, the way absence fills a room. I thought I'd feel relief. Peace, maybe. Instead, it felt like a bruise. Not pain exactly, just this dull throb that reminded me what had been there before. The couch looked different without his jacket slung over the backrest. The kitchen sink emptied slower without his midnight cereal bowls. The TV remote stayed in its place. I told myself it was for the best, and it was. But part of me still missed the idea of Drew. The old version. The one I'd let myself believe was safe with my worst truths. And maybe that's what stung the most. Not the betrayal itself, the fact that I didn't see it coming. A week later, I saw him again. It wasn't planned. I'd just finished a late shift and stopped at the liquor store across from my apartment. I needed something. Not to drink, really, but to hold. Something to fill the space between my fingers. And there he was, standing in front of the whiskey shelf. Hoodie half zipped, tired eyes. We made eye contact. Just for a second. Neither of us moved. Then he gave me the smallest nod. Not an apology, not even an olive branch. Just a flicker of acknowledgement that we had been something once, and now we weren't. I didn't nod back. That weekend, Amanda showed up at my door, alone. She wore this oversized sweater and no makeup, like she wasn't trying to look ready, just real. There was a slight puffiness around her eyes. "Can I come in?" she asked. I hesitated, but I opened the door. She sat on the far end of the couch like it was someone else's house, held her hands between her knees, took a deep breath. "I broke up with him." I stayed standing. She looked up. "He didn't get it. Still doesn't. He keeps saying he didn't mean anything by it, but that's the point, right? He didn't mean to protect you. He didn't mean to respect what wasn't his." I didn't respond. She nodded like she expected that. "I just wanted you to know, I see it now, what that secret meant, what he did." I crossed my arms. "So why tell me?" "Because," she said quietly, "if someone had defended me the way you defended that girl back then, I'd want to know the whole story, and I'd want to thank the person who did it." That took me off guard. I sat down, not close, not far, just across. She let the silence hang, then said, "I told my sister about it. What you did, what he said." She cried. I looked at her then. "She's been through stuff," Amanda said, blinking fast. "Things no one believed. You stood up, even when it cost you." I didn't know what to say. She stood. "I'll go now. I just thought you should hear that from me." She left before I could answer, and I sat there long after she was gone, staring at the front door like it might open again. A few days later, Emily came by with her kid. She brought pizza, and that knowing look she always wore when something was brewing in my head. "You good?" she asked, cracking open a soda. I shrugged. "Getting there." She handed me a slice. "He's not the first person who's going to fail you, you know." "I know. But he might be the first one who made you listen to your gut." I glanced at her. "You think I ignored it before?" She didn't flinch. "You've always been loyal to a fault. This time, you were loyal to yourself." I let that sit. Then I said, "Amanda left him." Emily raised an eyebrow. "And?" "And she came here, told me she saw what he didn't." Emily nodded slowly. "Some people grow from betrayal. Some people just get bitter." "Which do you think I'm doing?" She smiled softly. "Ask me in 6 months." I wish I could say everything got easier after that, but that's not how this works. You don't delete trust like a file. You carry the corrupted version until it stops glitching. I started noticing the little things. How often I checked my words when talking to new people. How I hesitated before opening up. How I felt my heart clench every time someone said, "You can trust me." I started journaling again. Not every day, but enough to see the patterns forming. And I realized something I hadn't wanted to face before. The secret Drew spilled. That wasn't the worst part. It was the permission I'd given him. The way I'd convinced myself he would never. That illusion, That's what hurt. A month later, I got a text from Drew. Drew, I know you don't owe me a response, but if you ever want to talk, I'm here. I messed up. I know that. I won't bother you again. I stared at it for a long time. Then I archived it. No anger, just done. Because some lines, once crossed, don't get redrawn. A few months passed, not fast, not slow, just the kind of time that builds quietly in the background like water in a kettle, barely noticed until it whistles. I didn't hear from Drew again. I didn't expect to. After his last text, I had half wondered if he'd try to explain himself again. Maybe some long-winded email about context, misunderstandings, brotherhood, and all that. But it never came. And honestly, that made it easier to move on. The wound scabbed over, not clean, but solid enough that I stopped poking at it. The apartment stayed quiet. Cleaner, too. I rearranged the living room, swapped the couch, got rid of a few things that reminded me too much of him. The throw blanket we both fought over during movie nights, that dumb coffee sign he hung in the kitchen that said, "Life begins after espresso." Gone. In their place? Silence, books, and a plant I kept forgetting to water. One night, I came home from work, threw my keys in the bowl, and noticed the kitchen light flickering again. It made me pause, not because of the light, because Drew always fixed that kind of stuff, silently, without asking. It used to drive me nuts, like he was sneaking in good deeds so I'd owe him something. But now, standing under that weak strobe, I realized how many things he used to do. Things I hadn't appreciated until they stopped happening. I reached up, unscrewed the cover, and replaced the bulb myself. It took 3 tries. My hands got dusty. I dropped the old bulb, and it shattered across the tile. I laughed, because of course it did. That weekend, I went to a mutual friend's birthday party. Mark, the guy who used to organize poker nights before everyone grew up and got real jobs. I almost didn't go. Part of me assumed Drew would be there. He wasn't. But people asked about him. "Hey, you and Drew still roommates?" "What happened with you two anyway?" "Man, he's been real quiet lately." I just smiled and kept my answers short. He's doing his thing. I'm doing mine. No drama, just space. But in the corner of the room, someone I hadn't seen in years, Jenny, pulled me aside and said, "Whatever went down between you two, I just want you to know, I always respected what you did for Becca back then." I blinked. She shrugged. "It's not like we were close or anything, but I remember. Not everyone forgets." Then she disappeared into the crowd, and that stuck with me more than anything else that night. Emily came over again the following week. This time, she brought a bunch of junk mail I had accidentally had delivered to her place. "Still getting crap from your college credit card days," she teased, tossing an envelope at me. We sat on the floor with cheap Thai takeout and no agenda. Her kid was with their dad for the weekend, so we talked like siblings again. Long and loud, without censorship. Halfway through a beer, she asked, "Would you ever be friends with him again?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I said, "I think I'm still trying to be friends with myself again." That got her quiet. I looked down at my noodles. He didn't just tell a secret. He changed the way I look at people, at trust. I hate that I still double-check people's intentions now. Emily leaned back against the wall. "Maybe that's not all bad." "It is," I said. "It is when it makes you cold to the people who actually care." She nodded slowly. "You think Amanda cared?" That caught me off guard. "She stayed with him for a bit after," I said. "But she came clean, told me the truth. I believe she did it for the right reasons. Would you ever date her?" That made me laugh. Harder than I expected. "Hell no," I said. "Too messy, too close, too recent." Emily smiled. "But you thought about it." I shrugged. Maybe for like half a second, but not seriously. I think we both needed something from each other that had nothing to do with romance. What's that? I leaned my head back and stared at the ceiling. Witnessing us, I said. She saw what happened. She didn't deny it. That counted for something. Emily sipped her drink. Yeah, sometimes the most healing thing is just someone saying, that sucked. I saw it. It wasn't fair. 2 weeks later, Amanda texted, Amanda, I know things are probably still weird, but I'm throwing a small birthday thing for my sister. You're welcome to come. No pressure. No Drew. I stared at the screen for a long time, then typed, me. Thanks. I appreciate it. I'll think about it. She heart-reacted the message, and I sat there, thumb hovering over the thread, wondering if it meant anything, or if we were just two people passing each other again, each holding pieces of someone else's damage. I didn't go to the party. I almost did, even got in the car, but halfway down the block, I turned around. Not because I was afraid of seeing Amanda, because I still wasn't ready to be seen. Not completely. That night, I pulled out my old journal and wrote, it wasn't the secret, it was the spotlight, being exposed in someone else's voice, to someone who didn't earn the right to know me like that. That's what broke me. Then I closed the book. I left the apartment to get some air. It was cold, really cold, the kind that makes your teeth ache. And I liked it, because sometimes when you've been burned, cold feels like clarity. The next time I saw Drew, it was almost a year later. Not by plan, not even by accident, really. Just one of those intersections life throws at you when it wants to check your pulse. It was spring, early evening, that time of day when the shadows stretch longer than your stride. I was leaving a bookstore, one of those old, tucked-in joints that smells like leather and memory, and I bumped straight into him outside a bar next door. He was standing in the alleyway, smoking, hair a little longer, beard scruffier, eyes older. He saw me first. I felt him stiffen before I turned. Jake. I nodded. Drew. There was a moment where neither of us moved. He flicked the cigarette, missed the ashtray. Didn't think I'd see you again, he said. I shrugged. World small. He studied my face like he was trying to measure how deep the ice still ran. You look good, he said. I didn't return the compliment. Instead, I asked, You still with Amanda? His mouth twitched. No. That doesn't surprise me. He looked down, kicked at a pebble with the tip of his sneaker. I deserved that. Probably more. I know. We stood there for a while. Not in silence exactly, just in a shared pause neither of us felt the need to fill. I read something recently, he said, about secrets. Said the only ones that ruin friendships are the ones people think they're entitled to tell. I raised an eyebrow. And you think that applies to you? I think it makes sense now, he said without flinching. Back then I thought it was harmless, just context, like it didn't matter because it was in the past. I crossed my arms. It wasn't context, it was my story, my consequence, my regret, my fucking growth. You gave it to her like a party anecdote. He nodded, slowly, like the weight of it hadn't truly settled until he saw it from the outside. I wanted to be the friend who always had your back, he said. Instead, I became the reason you needed to be careful. That one landed, because it was true. I let the silence stretch, not to punish him, just because I didn't owe him the easing of it. Finally, he said, I've done a lot of work on myself, man. Therapy, accountability stuff. Not for you, not as some penance, just because I realized how many lines I blurred over the years. That's good, I said, flat, honest. He looked at me, not pleading, not hoping, just still. I don't expect anything, he added. Not forgiveness, not friendship. I know that door's probably closed. I just wanted to say it out loud. I nodded once, then you said it. He seemed to take that as a cue. I'll let you go, he said. But Jake, one last thing. I raised an eyebrow. I think about that night sometimes. The story you told me, what you did, and every time I realize I was never the guy who'd have had the guts to do what you did. I didn't reply, because that wasn't mine to affirm. That was his to carry. That night, I went home and found Amanda had posted a photo, her and her sister at a cafe. Smiles, bright eyes, normalcy. I hovered over the like button, then moved on. It wasn't that I held a grudge. It's just, some chapters don't need bookmarks. They need closings. A few months later, I met someone. Nothing dramatic, no meet cute, just a bookstore conversation about a dog-eared copy of Catch-22. Her name was Hannah. She had the kind of smile that didn't need a reason. First date turned into third, then seventh. One night after a movie, she asked, "What's your most closely guarded secret?" I froze. Not because I was hiding it, but because for the first time in a long time, I didn't need to share it to feel seen. So I said, "I used to think I had one." And she smiled like she understood anyway. I don't think of Drew often now, but when I do, it's not with hate. It's not even with hurt. It's with this strange blend of understanding and distance, like remembering the layout of a house you once lived in, but no longer call home. We were friends. He broke something. I survived it. And I learned the difference between someone who hears your pain and someone who protects it. That difference? It's everything. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.